G'day and welcome to the Happy Families podcast, where you get real parenting solutions every single day. It's Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast, and today another one of your tricky questions. What do you do when you've got an 8-year-old that keeps on having temper tantrums, who is blowing up and even being violent? Is there a difference between 8-year-old boys and 8-year-old girls when it comes to the way they regulate their emotions and deal with the big fat no that they hear every now and again when they want more TV, more screen time, or more of the thing that they want that you're saying they can't have? We're going to discuss that as our tricky question next on the Happy Families podcast. Hello and welcome to the Happy Families podcast, where you get real parenting solutions every single day. It's Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. We're Justin and Kylie Coulson. If you have a tricky question for us, Tuesday's the day that we answer those questions. Just jump online to happyfamilies.com.au, scroll down to where it says talk now or record. Super simple system. Tell us what's on your mind and we will answer it. Alternatively, you can send us a voice note to podcasts@happyfamilies.com.au. All right, Kylie, here we go. This is the one that we've got for today.
Hi, Dr. Justin and Kylie. Thank you for all the suggestions that you give in your podcast. They are really helpful and valuable, and I listen to your podcast every day. I've been having some challenges with my nearly 8-year-old son, who is exceptional at school and is very well behaved. He often wins awards for his behavior at school, but something changes in him when he comes home. Whenever he doesn't like something, he just overreacts and physically reacts and tries to push us or hit us. It's more so with mom rather than dad. And I have also noticed that somehow he loves climbing on my shoulders, which is something that I don't appreciate. And I have spoken to him extensively about it, but it doesn't change. I don't know what triggers that behavior, but I have noticed that every time he watches TV, and he's allowed 30 minutes of TV every day, when it's time to switch off the TV, he doesn't really want to switch it off. And after he's turned it off, that behavior starts. So I don't really know how to handle this, and I'm not quite sure how to even identify the triggers. What is triggering that behavior? I don't know. He gets plenty of physical exercise. He goes to 2 different soccer clubs. He goes for piano and he goes for cricket. And I don't really know what else to give him. Is that overstimulation from TV? Or perhaps it's lack of exercise? With either of them, I don't think is a valid reason. But I just wanted your help to identify what triggers that behavior in him. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, Kylie, I have so much to say about this.
Who likes being said no to? Let's just be real.
No,
okay.
No, like when somebody says to me that I need to turn off the computer, stop answering emails, come and be with the family.
Put the book down.
Whatever it is. It's like, really? And it's the same when you're 2, when you're told to get off the swing, or when you're 12 and you're told to get off TikTok because you shouldn't be on it anyway, or 16. And even when you're a grown-up, this stuff is hard. Okay, so this tricky question is really a conversation about emotion regulation and how to help an 8-year-old to deal with the boundaries that are quite reasonably being set by parents who love him and care for him.
So I remember when our youngest, who's now 12, was around about 8 or 9. And again, at school, she was actually doing really, really well.
Yeah.
But she would come home and we would have these massive outbursts. And it wasn't for some time until we realised just how much effort was going into that good behaviour at school, the conformity of positive peer pressure, let's say, and then that need to just kind of unleash and let go.
Yeah, that's a really popular narrative. The other one that's really popular is just the idea that when your children feel safe, they can be whoever they need to be in the moment, and just be their authentic selves, be their true selves, just let their emotions fly. And if they feel like saying no, they feel safe enough with you that they can do that. Both of those narratives do hold some water, and yet I resist both of them, especially when I listen to this. So I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm saying that there are other explanations that I find more compelling.
Well, I'm just going to put it out there that when we pulled her out of school, the majority of that behaviour disappeared.
Yeah, except when we said no. Right? I mean, because this is we want what we want. So I've made some notes as I've listened very, very carefully to this wonderful, wonderful mum who's doing her very best to navigate life with an 8-year-old son. And I'm just going to whiz through some things. Feel free to cut me off, interrupt, or even push back if you need to. The first thing I want to talk about is the extracurricular activities. 2 different soccer clubs, cricket and piano, and he's still not quite 8, about to turn 8. That's a lot.
And they're all really structured, very controlled environments.
They're really controlled environments. And what I know is that increasingly we are putting children under pressure to be in these structured, controlled environments where adults are guiding them, and they're being developed. Kids are being developed. There are projects. It's all about.
But there's kind of only one way to do it, right? To do it right, there's one way.
Yeah. So I tend to push back against getting your children involved in structured activities before the age of 9 or 10, and specifically competitive pursuits, where your identity starts to become tied up with your results. And if you're playing soccer and you're not doing very well, that means you mustn't be any good at soccer and you must be a loser. The competitive aspects aren't necessarily good for young kids' resilience because their brain hasn't caught up with exactly how competition works and what it's for. Now, I'm not saying that we should have this mum pull her kids out of these things. They are good things, and I would rather him be in structured, adult-led activities than sitting at home playing Roblox, for example, or staring at a screen or whatever. It sounds like that probably isn't going to be an issue in this particular home, but it is an issue in many, many homes. What I would say, though, is this. Have him involved in activities where, one, he's got some choice in it. So if he's hating piano, get him to play the drums, or get him to play the trumpet or the trombone or the oboe. The oboe. Let's do that. He'll probably get a scholarship at a fancy school because they can't get enough oboe players for the orchestra. Get him doing things where his friends are. And get him doing things where it's not about competition, it's just about enjoying it and developing the competence as he goes.
Well, I would go further and say that instead of having structured activities, maybe organising, a play date where there is no structure, there's no expectations. It's just they're
kids
hanging
getting together,
out,
having fun.
They're climbing trees, they're playing ball, whatever.
Riding a bike or a skateboard, maybe falling over and spraining a wrist. It's okay. Kids should do one thing every week that could land them in hospital if it goes wrong. I don't have a problem with them taking risks. You shake your head every time I say that. You really chafe when I say that. I don't want them to go to hospital. It's about learning to find the edges, though, and pushing boundaries, and that's so healthy for them. So I wanted to say that about the extracurricular activities first. Generally, though, in spite of my reservations, I would still say in 2026, this sounds like a mum and a dad who are doing great. And I wouldn't be pushing for big changes here. The things that we've talked about are going to be useful. Second thing, I've got to talk about the TV situation because this is the reality of every family that you talk to. TV and screens, I think half an hour a day is fine at this age, maybe even up to an hour, honestly. When we were listening to it, you whispered to me and said, is he finishing the episode in half an hour? Or maybe a lot of episodes only go for 22 minutes. And so it's like, oh, well, I got to watch 1 1/3, but I want to know what's going to happen. So I think timing matters. I tend to think that we don't have to be really hardcore rigid on this. We can be a little bit flexible around it. TV is vastly superior to being on any other kind of screen because there is no algorithm reaching into their brain, nor is there any persuasive design demanding that they stay attached. But TV does keep on going, right? Like if you don't turn it off, it will keep going. Whereas when you're reading a book, eventually you're kind of like, I'm at the end of the chapter and it is time for me to touch grass. It is time for me to, I'm done. I've read enough for now. TV, it softens the brain. It makes the brain a bit squishy and it really does take away willpower. Screens are worse, other screens, the interactive style, but TV, bit of an issue. I don't think that TV is the problem here, and I don't think the extracurricular activities are the problem here either. So after the break, we're going to talk about emotion regulation and 4 strategies that could help with an 8-year-old who's blowing up when he hears no. Stay with us. We're back. It's the Happy Families podcast. If you're enjoying the pod, please share it with your friends, family, anyone that you know that has kids that might want their family to be happier. And you think, Justin and Kylie talk about useful stuff. Share the pod, please. It helps get the word out. And that's how we get to help more families. Kylie, as I listened to the challenges that this mum's having with her 8-year-old, I just thought we've got to talk about emotion regulation. This is a critical thing. So kids regulate their emotions when they're able to turn them up or down appropriately for the context and in harmony with their long-term goals. The reason that psychologists say that emotions aren't really, the kids don't get good at regulating emotions most of the time in most circumstances until they're at least 9 or 10, is because until then, they're not really thinking long term.
No, it's entirely in the moment, but they're also not thinking about the other people either.
Correct.
It's all about them.
Egocentric. And so
and then you get a few years where they start thinking about other people and then they
become teenagers again. And this is the frustration because when we're talking about boys particularly, they develop their emotion regulation a little slower than girls. That's the first thing. They also develop empathy. That is the ability to see how other people are feeling, understand how they're feeling, even feel how other people are feeling, way slower than girls. And they actually experience a little bit of a drop in their tween and teen years compared to girls who continually get better at it. So when it comes to boys and emotions, we're kind of fighting a bit of an uphill battle. I've written a couple of chapters about that in my upcoming book about boys, and it's absolutely compelling. Developmentally as well, boys are going through this thing related to their emotions called adrenarche. So you've heard of menarche. Menarche is that time during puberty where a girl has her first period. Adrenarche, this is the adrenal gland, and with boys around 7 to 8, they experience a surge in the hormonal precursors that they need for puberty, and that's called adrenarche. Like adrenaline, but CHE on the end, adrenarche. And that leads to dramatic and rapidly changing moods and increased sensitivity and often a whole lot of defiance. Why? Because these hormones are going poo, poo, poo all through their brain and body, and we're saying no, and they're saying, but I don't like it. Plus, they're becoming bigger and stronger. They know they're becoming more mature. They feel like they can take everything on now, even at the young, tender age.
They feel like they're big people.
7 or 8. Yeah, that's right. They're not like the little kids anymore.
Yeah.
They understand what's going on. And so that makes emotion regulation even harder. They struggle with control issues and autonomy because they feel like they're big and mature. They want to be able to do their own thing. Their emotions become trickier. I've already mentioned empathy. So let's talk about strategies because they're the developmental realities that we're facing.
I'm feeling really sorry for this mum. You haven't painted a really good picture right now. This feels like it's a losing battle.
Well, it kind of is. I mean, that was pessimistic. Sorry, let me rewind that. JR, help me out. Well, it's not a losing battle, Mrs. Happy Families, but as parents, we need to be on our toes, and this can be a tricky time for some of us. Is that better? Did I say that better?
All right.
A little bit of a silver lining. Put a positive sheen on a very, very difficult situation.
4 strategies.
Well, I'm adding a 5th one because one popped into my head just now. So we've got a little boy who's turning into a big boy who's going to become a man. I don't think that it's ever too early to start talking to our boys about what it is to be a man. And when a young boy or even a middle boy or even a teen boy starts to lose control of their emotions.
Or a daddy boy.
It's important to just say, not in the moment, but later on, when you got really emotional before, that showed a loss of control. A strong, healthy man doesn't use his strength to dominate and control and intimidate and coerce. A strong, healthy man uses his strength to be sensitive to others, to be considerate, to help others feel safer and stronger. And in that moment, I didn't actually feel safe or strong. I felt like you were trying to weaken me. What kind of boy do you want to be? What kind of man do you want to be? And just repeating that idea that a healthy man, healthy masculinity is helping the people around you feel safer and stronger. You say that 150 times a year, and it's like Chinese water torture. Eventually it gets into their head. And when they do things that do not help the people around them feel safer and stronger, they kind of know that, oh, hang on, I'm not quite living up to the expectation of what a good, healthy, safe man does. So that's my first thing. Just let's start this conversation about what healthy masculinity is early. Incidentally, I think it's good to teach our girls that as well. So they know that when they're around a young man who does not help them to feel safe and strong, they know that that's not the kind of young man that they want to spend time with. They can find the ones that help them feel safe and strong. Okay, my second solution with the TV, come up with a solution there where he knows before the TV goes off and the fight erupts, he knows what's happening. So you hand him the remote control and say, you got 30 minutes, kiddo, or you've got 2 episodes, and you get a pinky promise. And you say, what are we going to do afterwards? And this is the critical thing. What are we going to do after the TV goes off that you can transition to happily? Because if he knows where he's going next and it's something he's looking forward to doing or he feels good about doing, he's going to be much more willing to surrender the TV remote and not.
So you're
have
not
a tantrum.
suggesting we reward him for handing the remote in.
Oh, no.
You're suggesting that we come up with next steps. So whatever the next step is in the routine.
And it could be as simple as, hey, you know what? The TV episode's going to be finished and we're going to be having dinner 20 minutes later. So after the TV, it's straight into the bath or the shower and then it's dinner time. Or after the TV, we've still got that project that we were working on and I'm going to come and spend 15 or 20 minutes on that with you as soon as TV's done. So this isn't a reward. This is let's just map out, as you said, next steps. Another thing that has been useful with some parents that I've spoken to is there's a signal. The lights flash on and off 5 times. And that's you got a minute to go and then the TV goes off. And that means that you don't have to say any words. You don't have to overload their brain with emotion, your own emotion and anticipation that, oh no, there's a fight coming and we're going to have this antagonism. The light switch goes on and off 5 times and your son just has to give you a thumbs up. And now he's got a minute or two to process that, okay, it's time to turn the TV off. And then he just does it because he's had that non-verbal, non-human signal.
Lots of TVs have time limits on them. And that way, again, you're not being the enforcer. The TV itself does it for you.
We found that to be useful in our home until our children worked out how to get around it. But it is useful when your children are younger. The last couple of things: explore, explain, empower. Explore, explain, empower. I've written about it in all of my books. You can find it in podcast episodes where that's all we talk about. I've got blog articles about it, so I'm not going to elaborate on it now. But my 3 E's of effective discipline: explore, explain, empower, are everywhere.
So she's talked a lot about, the conversation she's been having with her child. I wonder if there's any questioning going on, if she's actually asking him to take perspective and helping her understand where he's coming from as well.
Yep.
When our kids feel like we're working with them, we're going to get much better compliance than when they feel like they're being acted upon.
Exactly, because that compliance is self-reinforcing. It's not us making them do it. It's them saying, this makes sense and I value where we're going here. That's what explore, explain, empower is all about.
Yeah, so a conversation, I'm noticing that every time I ask you to turn the TV off, we're having really big upsets. I'm wondering if you can tell me how you're feeling about it and what we can do so that this doesn't happen. Because I love that you get to have some downtime, but I don't love what happens when it's time to turn it off.
Perfect. 2 more things. Number 1, I would say if your child is doing absolutely the wrong thing and he's been told and told and told again, just make it really clear. You don't have to be polite about this. You can just say, I've asked you, you've just crossed the line, stop it. I don't have a problem with parents being really clear and really firm and really direct and sometimes even a little bit blunt with their children because sometimes kids need to hear it really, really bluntly. There are some things that don't sink in unless you make it abundantly clear. And the last thing that I'd say is none of this stuff is one and done. You will have these conversations in an enduring way because it takes a long time for children to learn how to regulate their emotions and figure it out. We really hope that this has been a helpful conversation for anyone whose kids are struggling with their emotional regulation and having those big ups and downs. If you have a tricky question, let us know via happyfamilies.com.au in our super simple system, or send us a voice note to podcasts@happyfamilies.com.au. The Happy Families podcast, produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Mim Hammonds gives us all of the admin, research and other support we need. And if you'd like more info to make your family happier, you'll find it at happyfamilies.com.au.